Hey guys, welcome to Uncut Hawaii, presented by Central Pacific Bank. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Kobe, and this is the podcast where we interview Hawaii's most interesting and innovative creators, entrepreneurs, and change makers. And we're in Waimea.
Yeah, so I flew over this morning, and it's our first episode or, first series on the road. So I'm in Waimea, Kobe's hood. And thank you, Fork, for letting us record here.
It's perfect. It's beautiful. Thank you, Hawaiian Airlines, for sponsoring us to go on the road. Today, we have a really special guest from Waimea, still lives in Waimea, and he is putting Waimea on the national stage.
Yeah, so Chef Ippy Aiona from Waimea, he grew up in this industry, he talks about how food is like pretty much his life and like grew up in it. His parents' restaurants, started his own, went off onto like a Food Network show.
Yeah, he got really popular like 10 years ago. He was on the Food Network star. He was only 23 years old. And then he's just been known around town, Hawaii, on a national stage too. But then he took a break for like about 10 years.
So we talk about that
TV.
decision. Yeah, so he just kind of took a break for 10 years. And
now he's back at it.
Yeah, he made a special announcement on the show. It was the first time he just announced his upcoming show that's getting dropped soon. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah, so exciting. He's so... I just get so much pride listening to him talk about his place where he's from and his craft, which is so much more than just a job or like a career or a business. He talks about it being his whole life. And so I just look, good energy, amazing story.
Yeah, and then we're recording in Waimea too, so it just feels extra special.
Yeah. So hope you guys enjoy this episode. Chef Ippy, welcome to Uncut Hawaii. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you guys for coming to Waimea.
Close to home. Yeah.
I know. This is nice. We're at Fork. Thank you so much, Fork, for letting us record
Thanks,
here.
Chef
It's
Allen.
beautiful. We're excited to get in and dig into all the things. You have so much going on.
Yep. Stay busy. We stay very busy here in this small town.
Yeah. So you're from out here?
Born and raised in Waimea. Family restaurants. So my dad's Hawaiian from Hilo. Had a restaurant here growing up my whole life. It's called the Kamuela Deli.
Nice.
And then my mom's Italian from New York, so she had an Italian restaurant, actually in the same shopping centers, dueling restaurants.
This is before they
Wait,
met.
is that how they met?
No, they met in college.
Oh, okay.
But my dad opened his restaurant first, and my mom, being Italian, from New York, she just she missed her food, and so she decided she wanted to open an Italian restaurant. But back when we opened the Italian restaurant, nobody really did Italian food here. So we asked for Parmesan cheese, and they sent us powdered cheese, or they didn't know what San Marzano tomatoes were. It was one of those. So she did it so she could kind of feel more nostalgic, have home close, and then and it just happened to be in the same shopping center. So I would. Most of the time growing up was at my dad's plate lunch place, and it wasn't until about middle school when she opened her spot. So it was definitely I'm a lifer. I've been in the restaurant business my whole life. So
Yeah.
From your earliest memories, just behind the counter and helping cook too?
The earliest things I remember is I went to HPA here, so I can remember after school every single day. I wouldn't go home like how normal kids. I would walk to the restaurant. I usually take a buddy, because it's how hard is it to bribe a buddy to come to the restaurant, right?
Give you a free sandwich.
Yeah, so I would usually take my buddies. We'd go down to the restaurant. We would have dinner, and then I would go and sit in the corner. There was this old couple and Japanese couple, and there was this guy Steve, and he used to smoke cigarettes in the corner. And so I would go, after I eat with my buddies, I would sit in the corner with Steve and Barbara, and I would do my homework. And it was a long time ago. They've both passed since, but it's that's how it was. Every day I would come from school to the restaurant, sit in the corner, do my homework with Barbara
home
guys.
to you.
Yeah, I wasn't used to family dinner. We would do for holidays and things like that. We get together, but dinners were the Simon Bowl at the restaurant, going behind the line, putting rice, chili, whatever was on the hot line. Nana Sally would make me. That was
Dinners
for me. It was growing up in the restaurant, literally in the restaurant every day.
Nice.
So, yeah,
that sounds so cool though. I'm sure every day wasn't You probably was like, oh, I just want to go home.
I loved it.
Yeah?
Yeah, I had no, I mean, being able to go after, like, because most kids, you know, you go from school to home, do your homework, all this. It wasn't like that. I would go to the restaurant. I would be able to talk to the guys, you know, I'd
cool
get to eat dinner. It was the best.
All the guests would come in and stuff. So you get to kind of meet and talk to everyone, like your stories with Steve and Barbara, you know, like.
Regulars, tons of regulars. That was the thing about the deli. It was one of the first plate lunch places. So we thrived on, it was all regulars. And like the cowboys would come in.
Sick.
We opened at 5 a.m. So you'd get all the truckers and everybody that came in first. And that was what we were known for, is like the regulars. So, I mean, this was back in the day. We were, like I say, we're smoking. Steve was smoking in the corner, you know?
And you were hanging out with
I was sitting right next to him the whole time. And we were doing my homework. And, you know, we didn't care. There was like these little like wooden divider that divided the smoking areas like it mattered, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
So did you know from an early age, like would be part of your life?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Third grade. I made a series of cooking videos called The Little Italian in the 3rd grade.
Really?
And that was it at that point. My cousin like filmed it. We had like a little piece of paper that we filmed for the title. It was, like,
so cute.
Yeah, it was, you know, and I thought I was Emeril Lagasse. I had my towel over my shoulder, you know. So that's when I really knew, like at about the 3rd grade is when I started really knowing it. There was this lady that worked, this old Japanese lady that worked at my dad's restaurant named Masayo. She actually owned Hawaiian Style before it was Hawaiian Style, like way back in the day.
Okay.
It was called Masayo's, but we called her the kitchen magician. Like this lady could cook everything. She could do everything. Like she was like a second mom to me. She was really like, you know, so in the 3rd grade, she bought me a cleaver.
Wow.
For my birthday, right? I always tell this story. So it's one of those, she bought me a cleaver for my birthday. And I was working the fry station. And instead of just putting the chicken down and hammering it like the guys did, I tried to be like Emeril, you know? And I rolled the knife all proper. And she announced to everybody right there, oh, this boy's going to be a chef right here. So at that point, it was kind of like, it sold me. And I was like, all right, I got my cleaver. I got my backup. Like I'm
put
done.
it into the universe.
It's out already. So the only other thing I wanted to do was be the Pope. So that ended at puberty. So I was like, this is good. Like this is what we want to do, you know?
Yeah. I'm gonna be a chef.
We're gonna have to dig up those old videos.
Oh, I have them. Yeah,
You do?
Italian. Yeah, we got
Was
them.
it a YouTube channel?
No, this was before YouTube.
YouTube.
I'm old. Like
You're the OG content.
This was before. This was on like one of those little camcorders.
No, that's my time too.
Yeah, we would put the music on in the back and zoom in on the little paper and, you know, cut scenes.
And what's crazy is like you did that at 3rd grade and then like now you're on like all these TV shows and stuff. So it's just kind of like meant to be.
Manifested,
you manifested
it from 3rd grade. That's so cool. Okay, so you grew up in Waimea, graduated from HPA, and then where did you go?
I graduated from HPA and I went to the Cordon Bleu in San Francisco. So I went to San Francisco to go to culinary school. I was there for about 4 years. I met my wife there. My wife's also a chef. So
nice.
And then I worked there for about 5 years total in San Francisco. So it was great. I mean, culinary school is the best. It's one of those things where people always, you know, it's a double-edged sword because it's so expensive and all this. But for me, it's what you put into it, you know, and I got a ton out of it. So I loved it. Graduated from there, but I couldn't stay in the city. That I was there for 5 years, and it was hard, you know. And I have to practice what I preach because I always tell young chefs and stuff, hey, if the best thing to do is to go get your education and bring your talents back home, you know?
Yep.
So
that must have been a big culture shock from Waimea, small town, to San Francisco.
Oh, I have a story, but I don't know how, but there's a festival in San Francisco called Folsom Street Fair. It's a gay S&M leather
and
whips.
they just like walk out on public.
I'm an 18-year-old kid from Waimea, you know? And
first time in the city.
Literally it was the first day working in this new restaurant that was on Folsom Street, and I walk in, I'm just turned 18, you know, barely, and they asked me for my ID to get into the street fair, right? And they're like, you have to be 18, and I'm like, that's so weird. You have to show your ID to get in. Anyway, so I get into the street fair, and we were making meatball sandwiches, right? Go figure. And so I walk in, I'm like, chef, I'm here. What's my job? I'm ready to make some meatball sandwiches. And he's like, oh no. He's like, you're standing outside with the sign, you know? So I was standing outside with this big sign, come taste my meatball sandwiches. And it was the biggest culture. I mean, it was a huge culture shock. You know what I mean? People were naked. People were just like, it was intense, but I had one of the best times I've ever had. It was just like, I loved it. Like, it was true. It was one of those moments where it's like eye-opening, you know, but at the same time, you either embrace it or you don't, you know? And I took I embraced it.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Taste my meatballs.
Yeah, it was so. But that was like the culture shock, you know, like.
Yeah.
And I tried to explain to people like, hey, where I'm from, it's a small town. Like, you know, HPA is a little conservative school. Like, I'm not used to these Folsom street fairs, you know. And San Francisco was full of them, all kinds of crazy stuff. So it was definitely a culture shock, but in a good way, you know. It's always good.
Opened up your perspectives.
Yeah, expanded a little bit.
Expanded a
Saw
little.
things I
a
never
lot.
thought I would see. I loved
18.
it. Yeah, 18. Yeah.
That's so crazy. Okay, so you went to and you graduated culinary school.
Graduated
And was
in 08.
working during the same time, like
Yeah, I worked
working in
at
restaurants?
like a high-end catering company, Christopher's Fine Catering out there. So it's a good experience.
How was it like? So did you work? I guess before college, like in high school and stuff, did you work at the restaurants and stuff, or did you work out elsewhere? Okay,
That was the thing. Growing up in the restaurant business, you know, it's on the weekends and stuff, making sure everybody shows up for work, making sure it's a different type of life, you know, and I love it, and I encourage it, and I tell people family restaurants are the best because it really becomes your family's identity and everything. But at the same time, it's a lot, you know. So the kids have to get involved, people have to sacrifice. It's part of having a family restaurant, you know. So growing up was always started out washing dishes. Then once they found out I could make hamburgers and mac salad and all this stuff really good, that was it. Like it's one of those
it's one of
those situations. Once you can you really want to watch what you show off, because then all of a sudden it becomes your job. You know? So hamburgers were my job for a while. We used to mix our hamburgers with dried onions and bread. It was, you know, back in the day, it was like a meatloaf almost, a hamburger. And so that was my first thing. And then macaroni salad. Then we went to the deep fryer. Then we got to the grill. And when my mom opened her Italian restaurant, that's when it like, you know, I was making pizzas, I was working the pasta station. It kind of like turned to a little different, you know, and I got to start experiencing more food and it was just, very broad range of jobs growing up for sure.
What were some of your takeaways, like just working at like in a restaurant, but then with your family, you know?
Well, you know, my older brother's been fired twice. So my takeaway is don't piss your family off, you know, because they'll still fire you. You know. But that being said, it's such a good thing because, you know, when you work with a business partner, there's certain lines you can't cross, you know. I mean, you can't. Like, it's just, because you're not family. Like, you're not blood. It's just you have to be professional and respectful in a certain way. With family, it's kind of, those lines are blurred, you know? So
whatever happens.
That's true.
So it can work in your benefit or it can work against you. You know, if you know how, like me and my mom, we're like oil and water, you know? But if you know how to emulsify and we can come together, like, you know, like a vinaigrette or something, it makes a huge difference. And I think that's what it comes down to. Because some people can't do it. Like my older brother, like I said, he's been fired a couple of times. He's literally a certified genius, so that might have been hard for him. But so now he's off doing his own thing. But me and my mom, like, we work great together, you know. And it's when you click, what's better than being able to be with your family all the time and make money? Like that's kind of the dream, right? To be able to hang out with your family and still provide for your family.
Yeah.
Because you got to sacrifice. You got to pick.
Yeah.
Well, do I provide for my family? Do I hang out with them? Well, if you put it all together and you got your
That's
kids
true.
working with you,
That's true.
We're all hanging out.
So it's good and bad, you know. Like would I want my daughters to have to be raised like that? I don't know. You know, it's just it's good and bad. So it kind of built a lot of character in it, but I you know, it's just there's sacrifices too. So
yeah, for sure.
That takes a special family to be able to do that, I think. I mean, even some families can't get along, even if they don't have a restaurant.
100%.
You know? So that's special that you guys were able to make it work.
It's the stigma that, you know, they always say, don't go into business with families. That's like a saying. And I don't understand it. Like, if you can go into business with a stranger, like, why wouldn't you be able to go? Maybe because you're closer with them, so you know their bad parts too. You know, they're good and bad, where the partner can hide it from you a little bit more. But show me everything with my partner before I can get into bed with them, because that's
so true.
And with the family, it is tough, and it does. You have to be able to bite your tongue, and you have to be able to. There are times where you won't say stuff to your family that maybe you would say to a stranger, you know. So, but for me, it's probably the most rewarding thing ever, being able to work with my family.
It's like finding that
so
balance
special.
and then just like going with it, building that dynamic, and then that's awesome.
And I got an Italian mom from New York. So she's intense, you know. So it's when she tells me what to do, I do it. You know?
Oh. Some sounds of Waimea in the background.
So
Somebody getting pulled over.
Did you like split your time between the two restaurants and stuff? They were operating at the same time?
Yep.
Oh,
So
nice.
they were up until like I was in middle school is when my mom opened her spot. So I grew up mostly when I was young in my dad's plate lunch place. But when I got into middle school, my mom opened her Italian place, and that's when I started, kind of splitting the time between the two. I just the pizzas and the pasta and working with the saute pans and everything. It was I was really into it.
Nice.
But then I was only with after middle school and high school, and then I graduated. So I would say I would probably spit about 40, 60 maybe.
Nice, sick. Was there like a cuisine that you kind of like went like you like the Italian more?
It's hard. I always tell everybody this, and this is the truth, and I tell everyone, like, for me, I'm a comfort food guy, right?
Yep.
So like spaghetti carbonara or teriyaki, like a terry loco mocha, right? Yep. But I'm also a chef, so I always tell everyone, like, if you put 2 plates in front of me and you give one plate has lobster and foie gras and like the most caviar, like the most decadent plate ever, and then you have a terry loco moco, and then you tell me eat one or pick one to eat, I'm gonna pick the caviar and the lobster.
Yeah, because you know how valuable.
Yeah, I know how good all that.
Yeah.
Now, if you tell me, all right, pick one to eat, I'm gonna shoot you after. I'm gonna eat the terry loco moco because it does something inside that's different than the caviar and all that stuff, and it brings back, it's a memory-inducing thing. So, yeah, that's what I would do. Yeah, soul food, exactly.
Yeah.
So let's fast forward to I remember when you were on Food Network Star, right?
Food Network Star,
Yep.
I didn't realize how young you were.
Mm-hmm.
Only
Yeah,
like
23.
we were doing some research and like, whoa, he was only 23.
Yeah,
like, how did that even happen?
It was a late night with my buddy, and we were watching Food Network or something, and Bobby Flay popped up and he's like, hey, we're looking for the next Food Network star. Could be you, one of those. Like, one of those
I got you. Yeah.
Yeah, we might have had a few drinks at that point, and we were just like, whoa. And I took him, my buddy was like, bro, I could do that. Like, I could totally do that. He's like, no, you can't. And I was like, yeah, I could do that, bro. And so
he's calling me.
That night, we drove over to Salamini's to my mom's spot, and we filmed, like, my mom has these, like, Western style swinging doors. You could see it just pushing through the door, like, aloha, guys. Like, I did this whole thing, and then we got on. Like, it was like we got the call, and then I had to go to Oahu and do the interviews, and by the time, but then I didn't realize, I think it was probably a good thing I was so young, because I didn't realize how big that show was, until I got a little older and I realized, this is a multi-million-dollar show. But going into it, I had no idea. I was like, who
It's
cares?
just kind of like as a joke. Yeah.
You were back home by then. You weren't even in San Francisco anymore. You had moved back home.
Yeah. I was home for about 2 years at that point, or a year, maybe 2 years, because I had just opened. I took over the spot next to my mom's Italian restaurant. I opened the coffee shop. So I had just opened the coffee shop when I got put onto the show.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I opened the shop when I was like 19 or something, 19 or 20.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. What was the whole process like? I mean, coming again from a small town and then being on this like national platform, competing against like all kinds of different people from all over the place.
Yeah.
Like, what was that like at 23?
Again, it was a good thing that I was so oblivious,
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, like the last few competitions I've done have been so much more stressful and so much more like anxiety.
Because you kind of like expect
it's
things
weird.
going. Yeah.
Well, when I was young, I didn't care as much.
Exactly,
Just, I thought I was better than everybody. I was like, it's just that young attitude.
Yeah.
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 You start getting older, and it's like, all right, I got to start working I got to start focusing, and so in a way, it was a good thing. It was so intense that it made me like kind of tell myself, all right, I'm too young for this. Like, I got to wait until my 30s to get back into TV. I wanted to really focus on my restaurants and honing my craft and opening my businesses and things like that. So I decided to put it to the side and just focus on that. Until my 30s and get back into, because it was so intense.
It takes a lot to like realize that and like make that decision. Was it like a hard decision for you, or like were you kind of just like, nah, I need to do this?
I think it was one of those. I was kind of just forced to do. Like, it was one of those things
Because
where
you're young and you're on TV, and I'm sure you got like a lot of fame and stuff, and it's like
too much. It was like I opened the 3 Fat Pigs. I was 20. Like, they wouldn't have given me that spot if I wasn't on the show. So it was sometimes
in,
you
King
get things down in King Shops, and sometimes you can get things too early. Like, you don't know what to do with it, and it just happens. So for this one, it was I wanted to focus on that, like working, just doing that, and a lot of the people that were on the show with me were getting publicists and managers and all this stuff. And I didn't even have a Facebook or anything at that point. I got a call from one of the producers after this one episode where like they edited it so it looked like me and Jada were gonna like make out or something. It was like a real weird edit. And I got a call from one of the producers and he's like, man, he's like, did you see? He's like, you're trending on Twitter. And I was like,
what's that?
Yeah, I was like, what? And I thought I was in trouble because I signed the NDA. And I was like, Kyle, I didn't do nothing. Like I didn't say nothing. I promise. And he's like, no, bro, this is huge. Like, you're trending on Twitter. And he's like, oh, what are you gonna do? I was like, I don't have a Twitter. I still don't. Like, I was like, I don't know. It was really tough, and I just didn't know. I didn't know how to capitalize on it. So for me, I just reverted back to what I knew, which was restaurants and stuff. So I just was like, all right, I'm gonna take whatever little bit of notoriety we got and just put it into the restaurant, so that's kind of what I did. And now I'm a lot more prepared, I know well, at least I think I am. I say that, but we never know until it happens. So,
So that was like 10 years ago
at 10
this
years,
point?
Yeah.
Okay. So since then, you've just been like grinding it out the restaurants and building like your team and your brand.
Yeah, we opened, I've opened Ippy Swine Barbecue about 10 years ago now at this point. We opened our second location here in Waimea. So we've been open, actually we just made 4 years here in Waimea. Nice. So we opened right before the pandemic. And then we're opening a new spot right by Ippy. It's called the Dizzy Pita. It's going to be like gyros, falafel. It's kind of like New York style halal guy, those halal carts and stuff. So bringing that, I mean, we're always so far back in, like we're always a few years back in. I mean, it's very popular. It's just we're starting to get, so we're going to bring some of that here. And then, and I'm currently working at a private club down on the coast, executive chef at a club down there. So I'm getting to work with, ingredients that I normally wouldn't be able to afford. So it's really,
nice.
So I'm really getting to, I'm just kind of honing my craft, working on my businesses, trying to really capitalize on whatever opportunities come at me.
And with those opportunities, I think, you were just on a TV thing with Chef Sheldon and Leanne.
Alex vs. America.
Alex, Alex vs. America. Yeah. How was that? Like, was that your first thing back?
Yeah, so that was my first time back in 10 years.
Oh, yeah, after 10 years. So you're how did that whole thing happen? Did someone reach out to you?
It was someone reached out to me for that. I think I wrote a cookbook. I wrote my first cookbook about like a year ago maybe. It was called the Easy Hawaiian Cookbook, and it got really popular. It got like top 100 on the Amazon cookbook list. Like it got real popular real fast. And so I think that is what got their attention, because they were doing a show about Hawaii, so they probably Google search or whatever they do as these casting agents,
the producers and all that.
And so they probably do it, and they saw it because of the book and everything. So that's how we got onto there. But that was cool. It was one episode, literally one day. We flew up to LA and everything was filmed in 5 hours or something like that. So it was tough. Like it was definitely my nerves definitely got the better of me. It's like first time in 10 years being back and on the camera was. It was interesting. I mean, it was fun. It was a lot of fun, and it was good practice. It was good practice and good to get back into the groove, And everyone on these shows are always super cool. It's all the networking is just huge, and everyone's really, really good, So and it always leads to more things, So that's always the best thing.
Which is what happened. I guess you didn't totally bomb it because
no,
you must have done great because you had more stuff coming up after that.
Yeah. Then we got invited to do a show called Barbecue Brawls. Actually, so this is the first time we're announcing it. So boom, right here on this breaking things right here. We're doing a show called Barbecue Brawls. It comes out on July 10th. I don't want to tell you the time because I'll probably get it wrong.
Yeah, but this is like a whole show, right? So it's not just one episode.
Yeah, this will be this. So how this show works is they take 3 teams. You have Team Bobby Flay, Team Ann Burrell, and Team Sunny Anderson. They break up. They have their teams, and then they pick almost like schoolyard style. Like one person picks one guy, one person picks one, and they pick their own team of like five guys on each team. And then you basically work with your team, and every week one team is at the bottom, and the team that's at the bottom somebody gets eliminated. So it's one of those shows where it's like you work on eliminations. It's one person gets eliminated every week. So it's not like Alex vs. America where it's just one episode. This will be like multiple.
Sick.
Yeah, as long as we do good, it's on multiple. Multiple episodes.
That's exciting.
That's so cool.
But that's awesome because it's like after this 10-year break and you kind of like set that for yourself, like, hey, I'm gonna spend my 20s like working on the restaurant and all that stuff, and then now in my 30s, I want to get back into it and like these opportunities are getting thrown at you. It's crazy. So
And you've probably grown so much as not just a chef, but just like a person and your experiences and being a dad and so many different things that you can bring to the table now.
Huge. I mean, you can tell just based on the interviews and the questions. And I was so like unwilling to, when I was younger, I was so unwilling to say certain things and do certain things because, you know, you're at that age, like my whole thought process on it was when you're that young, you're still figuring out who you are, you know? And when you're on shows like this, they try to tell you who you are, you know? And when you're that young, it can get confusing, you know? And I was super laid back and I've always been, you know, like I'm just, look at where I'm from, you know? So it was one of those things where they kept telling me, they're like, you're just too laid back, you're too quiet, you're too, and I started believing them, you know? And so I was like, well, and then finally I got to the point where I was like, I'm not gonna play this game. I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
So that's why I told you I talk a lot with my hands.
It's all good.
You know?
It's all good. Yeah.
It's the Italian. It's only one hand. Only half of me. Yeah. The Hawaiian side's chill. But, it's just the one side. But yeah, so I just, you know, it took a lot, and I just said, okay, I'm gonna take a step back and figure myself out, and then get back when I'm ready to, you know, tell the world who I am, kind of thing. So, and it's been a big difference. Like this last show we did, I had such a better time with like the producers and talking to people and even though I was more stressed because when I did the first one I was so like relaxed and laid back. It was almost like I was too like I just, you know, but this one I was a little more engaged. I was more, you know, involved and it was easier for me to say things and do things and mess around, you know, like there's gonna be a lot of times where I'm playing around in it because I just had fun, you know. It's like it's a little different now. So That's is more nerve-wracking though. Like now being judged on my food, it's a whole different beast now. So, but every chef I'm sure is like that.
I love that though, that you're like not willing to compromise like who you were, because I think maybe we are seeing now, even from 10 years ago, the more like the authenticity, like people really are attracted to that. So like if you are who you are and you're just yourself, you know, I think people are looking for that and cheer people on who are that, you know.
They can
It's
relate to
difficult.
that,
Yeah, it's difficult sometimes though, like living in Waimea and then also trying to like, you know, continue to be who I am. It's easy to get left behind, you know, because I walk slow. That's just how it is. I always have. It's what I do, you know. So and I don't want to live anywhere else. Like this is where I was born. This is I practice what I preach. Like this is where I want to keep. I want my skills to be able to be here, you know, and to benefit here. And there's been times where I've wavered and I'm like, okay, like I gotta go to the mainland or I gotta go to Oahu to really get my name out there. And I always end up coming back to like, no, this is where I want my girls to be raised. This is where home is. So it's tough. It feels like sometimes living in Waimea that we're on the outside looking in this industry because we're so far away, you know. But hopefully we start changing that. You know, that's the plan, is to get with this kind of stuff and with what we can bring now to show the world places. Instead of having to go to like New York or LA, now you can bring those places here because of all the technology and everything. So
totally. Dude,
keep going, you know?
We have seen like even during the pandemic, so many people moving here. There's such an attraction to Waimea. Like no matter where I go, people are like, oh, wow, you're from Waimea. There's always like this, like, wow, I would love to live there, you know? And like, look at our produce, like things that are grown here, like meats and vegetables and
the best produce in the state. I mean, I'm biased, but you know, we're 2,500 feet up in elevation. We're right in the valley. We are a volcano. We're an active volcano. Like, the perfect conditions for the best produce. I just did a dinner yesterday, and it was a big prime rib dinner, and I had to literally stand there and tell everybody, look, I know the prime rib is like the star here, but it's not the real star here. Like our produce is the star here. That's what we do. And Park Ranch, it's a big yes, all this, but they don't raise their cattle like we do our vegetables, man. Our vegetables are top notch. Tomatoes, cucumbers, strawberries, like our lettuce. Like I mean, if you go to Oahu and you get Hirabara lettuce, you're paying triple. You know,
it's just how
it goes.
Man,
you know?
that lettuce lasts forever
It
too.
does,
It's like in my fridge for like weeks, and I just my friend grew like just in her backyard this zucchini that was like literally this big. I was like, oh my God.
Everything grows in Waimea.
What?
Everything.
Yeah.
I told my dad one time. My dad, I always tease him. I tell him he's like a green thumb. He's like always in the yard, like like the old Japanese men that are in there. Always come by and I see my dad weed eating with his hands or weeding. And I'm like, oh, Dad, what are you doing? And so I bet him. I was like, hey, what? Because he loves growing things and all this. And I was like, I bet you can't grow corn because corn is one of the harder things to grow, and you need certain environments. And so he was like, all right. And every day I'd see him outside, like pressing the corn together, like, because you have to do it in big fields so it all blows. And he, so he ended up growing delicious Waimea corn.
Wow.
So it's one of Waimea can grow anything. If you really tend to it and you grow it at the right area in Waimea, you can grow anything here. It's crazy.
Yeah. I believe it.
Jealous.
I mean, my neighbor just during COVID just started his own little garden, and it's thriving, and he has this like little cart of like all the things that he has for the week. Like there's everything in it. Like I don't have to go to the store. It's crazy.
We are definitely blessed. This is God's country. I mean, it's when people tell you this is like this is it. You can't get better than this.
Nice.
Yeah.
So 10 minutes to the beach. 20, 50. Well, I say it's probably more like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But hey, it's perfect.
Yeah.
Waimea's the best.
That's right there. Yeah.
We're a little biased though. So
A little bit biased, but I didn't even grow up here. I grew up like in Ka'u, coming to Waimea for like sports and stuff like that, and driving through Waimea and thinking, people actually live here? Like this is like doesn't even seem real. Like it seems like out of a movie. Like look at the
Like the
cows.
rolling
They're like
mountains
the rolling hills, the green grass. Like the cows look happy. Like,
happy
this
cows.
place, I'm like, this place is unreal. But yeah, it is a blessing for sure, and the people and like everything about it.
Yeah,
but,
good community, great community.
So for our listeners that are not from here, like what kind of cuisine do you kind of like focus on in your restaurants, and what's your like philosophy behind your dishes and all that?
So my Hawaiian place, Ippy's Hawaiian Barbecue, it's obvious plate lunch, everything made from scratch. I really try at that place. We have Aloha, Kikoman, and Club. It's like one of those things where we use the Kikoman and Aloha for our Korean sauce. We use the Aloha for teriyaki. We use the Club when we, it's like we have it. So the recipes that I do at Ippy's Hawaiian Barbecue are literally, we still have the same binder from my dad's deli.
I was going to say, is it the same mac salad that you were making as a kid?
Same exact mac salad. The only thing is we reduce the MSG a little bit.
Yeah, back in the day.
A little bit. But it's one of those where I took same recipe, same everything, done the same way, just using more local, locally sourced and vegetables and things, but everything made from scratch. And then the Dizzy Pita will also same thing. Everything made from scratch. Just my cooking it's hard. I grew up again Hawaiian Plate Lunch restaurant, Italian restaurant. Went to the French culinary school. So
Had a coffee shop.
I opened the coffee shop. Had that for a while. It's got a Mexican wife who makes amazing Mexican food.
Nice.
When I did Food Network Star, they were really adamant about like, hey, what's your point of view? Your point of view. Yeah. So I created this thing called Euro-Pacific cuisine because I didn't know what to say because it's so like it's such vast different, Hawaiian food and Italian food are so different, So I created this thing called Euro-Pacific cuisine where I use European techniques and use local ingredients and it was it worked. It was like duct tape. I mean, it kind of worked, but it's so but it's so much deeper than that. It's hard to see to tell exactly where the food philosophy is. For me, I've been doing it my whole life. That the only difference with me is that food it's more than just like it's more than just eating or this or that. Food's really it's raised my family. Like it put me through school. Food put a roof over my head. It's putting my daughters through school. Like literally, food is what is making it's life for my whole family. Not just nourishing, but like our life is built on it. So I have like an insane respect for what we do. It's one of the things. I'm at a private club now, and it's one of the things the hardest part for me is not being able to cook for the community. It's like it really is. So when I opened my first restaurant called the Three Fat Pigs, it was a big gastropub, and I didn't open it until I opened Ippy's Hawaiian Barbecue, which is a little plate lunch place in the food court. because I wanted to be able to, I want to feed the community first, then take care of, because they've taken such good care of us. And it's so important to me that to let my daughters see that, hey, we work for our money. Like we work for a living, you know, like this is what we do. We feed the community, and that's how you're able to live, you know? So for me, like living in Waimea, I have like a pretty intense respect for food. It's what I'm going to be doing forever. It's what literally it's what's been creating my whole life, you know? So that's would be my food philosophy, I guess, you know?
That's so beautiful. It's not a career or like a job. It's like literally
it's life.
everything.
It's life, yeah.
It's life for us,
Food is everything.
That's it, life. It's like, that's what we've done. It's what it's just, and it's so weird to say, like, you know, that it's such a hard business. It's not an easy business. So like, you know, when I do say things like, oh, I want my daughters to be a doctor or something like that, instead, it's not because I don't love or respect the food. It's because I love and respect it so much. It's like, look, I know what you can do and how far it can take you, you know, but food will only take you, you know. So it's one of those weird things that everyone says, but you love being a chef, but it's so much work, you know, and it's really does take over your life. But if you love it, I mean, it's not that bad.
You'll make it work.
I've never been bummed out going to work. I think like twice I've been bummed out going to work. One time I was probably having to go fire my brother. It was, you know, I don't know. It was like,
some family drama.
Yeah, it's very rare it's very rare that I'm upset going into work.
Nice.
I love too that you like brought in the European, like the Italian influence and the Mexican influence, because it is like a plate lunch, like a plate lunch, but then you expanded it, because plate lunch, right? It's like a combination of like all these different like plantation
like
cultures, mixed plate. Sorry. Yeah, mixed plate is what I meant. But like the Japanese culture, like Filipino, Chinese, like all the plantation, you know, but then now you're like expanding it to more.
Yeah.
More
creating more.
culture.
You're not wrong. And that is that's why it becomes so hard trying to kind of define, you know, because I'm a big spaghetti carbonara guy, but I'm a big Terry Loco Moco guy. You know, it's really tough. So, but it's plate lunch or mixed plate actually does have. I was doing a show recently on Netflix, this Restaurants on the Edge show, and I was explaining to the guy about plate lunch, and I was like, even like the macaroni salad, you know what I mean? I mean, where's macaroni coming from? You know, it's like, it's just, it's one of those things where we bring in every culture, and then we bring it, and then we create it, we bring it, we make it our own, you know? It was a way for people to be comforted, and a way for them to feel like they were back home, and now it's so funny to think like the plantation days, those people were making all this, you know, they're inventing musubis and chop suey and all this stuff that they were creating to feel comforted. And now that's the food that we feel comforted.
Yeah.
Like
that's
when we leave,
it's such
you
a
know?
beautiful
That's
thing.
so true.
Like when you're in the
those
mainland,
roots go down pretty deep.
Yeah, like you're in the mainland, you're craving plate lunch or you know, you're craving the food that they created because they were craving home. So that's what we crave.
Yeah.
It's
love
tough
it.
traveling.
Think about that.
It's tough
I
traveling
love it.
sometimes when there's not like rice or like a
Yeah.
plate lunch place or like
Yeah,
something that's like, even traveling to like some beautiful destination like Italy.
Yeah, I
It's
was
like-
in Europe for a month, and like all I wanted at one point was like, I want a place for the rice.
Isn't it crazy?
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's how you can tell a local. I tell you what, that's how you can tell a local. Put them in a place and offer them mashed potatoes or rice. See what they order. Like, that's how you can tell. Yeah, it's so funny. That's how it is. I mean, it's everything. You know, growing up, I remember my grandma would always have the rice pot always cooked with sorry grandma for telling everybody this, but she would spray like I can't believe it's not butter all over the top.
She did.
Yeah, like the spray one, you know, all over, and then furikake all over that, you know. So it was like, it was always there, and it was always like, I didn't know I was eating plastic, but it tasted so good, you know. And that was like our snack 24/7. You know, it's always the I can't believe it's not butter and furikake in the pot. So.
That sounds good actually.
It is.
What's
But I would never eat that now.
Yeah. I know. I just bought it for like a kupuna I shop for. I'm like, wow, there's all kinds of varieties of. I can't believe it's not butter. No. They make it in every kind of way. They still make it. What's your comfort food that you make for your family? Like a go-to.
It depends. It really does. I would say my. What we make it's weird. Me and my wife will kind of like go back and forth, but I would say the things we make the most at home, probably like barbecue. It's just easy, you know. It's one of those. I've been doing a lot of barbecue because of the show. But and I've been getting a lot. I have like a Traeger. I have like a barrel smoker. I have all these crazy smokers now. So Yeah, I would say lately it's been a lot of barbecue, but for me, this is really bad. I'm a hot pocket and ramen guy. I'm saying it on TV. I'm not denying it. Look, when we're home, me and my wife always make homemade cooked meals, and we do all that because my wife has, she's a chef and she has time, and so we have our girls, so we're always making homemade. But man, I just love ramen.
If you're just
spot,
like
right?
on your own, like at a hotel,
Hot
you're just gonna
pockets.
get a hot pot.
It's
I
like
love
the guilty
that.
pleasure.
You know how
It's a
weird it
spot.
is? Like I'll walk in, like I walk into the stores after closing my restaurants. I have my chef coat on, I'm like Hot Pocket, Funyuns, and they're like, ladies looking at me like, "What are you doing?" You know?
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, don't worry about it. This is what we do. So for like, don't get me wrong. Like we're making,
of
but
course.
I'm not one of those chefs that's like snooty, and don't eat this. I love all food.
I love
Nice,
that.
nice.
I love
I'm almost
that.
300 pounds. You think I got this way eating just Waimea greens? You don't get this
It
physique
hits the
eating
spot.
Waimea greens.
Yeah. Do you
I love that because I have heard of chefs that don't eat like certain
A
things.
lot of them
like,
do. Yeah, a lot of them
Yeah.
don't. They're very, and it's probably because they know what's in it, and
Yeah.
I'm good at
Nah.
blocking those things out.
Yeah.
I've gone to enough parties where I'm like, oh, I wonder which auntie cooked that. I don't care. I'm gonna eat it anyway. Like, my wife is still at that. She's like, who cooked this one? Who cooked that? Who cooked that?
Hey, food is food.
Yeah. She's like, what does their kitchen look like?
That's
Do they
so
wash their
tough
hands?
though because you're an expert in that, and so you look at it through a different lens. Like
Yeah.
it's just like if Andrea and I were to like see a video done, but like not
You see the process, not
Yeah,
the finish.
yeah,
You see the
exactly.
process, not
Yeah.
just the finale, the
Right,
finished
right,
product.
right.
Same
You-
thing. It's like I can't go to the restaurant with my family and we don't discuss how we're better. Like it's
It's like when we watch movies or something.
Yeah.
It's so irritating. I tell my mom
It
all
is.
the time, like can we just go tonight and not talk about not compare ourselves to these guys?
Take a bite, like.
And it could be like Nobu's, like one of the nicest restaurants ever.
Probably even more
Yeah,
so when you're
yeah.
paying so much money, you're like,
Yeah, but she's comparing us to Nobu.
Like,
Stop it, we're not going to compare Ippy Swine Barbecue to Nobu's right now, but she'll find a way to do it,
Yeah.
It's just part of who we are. Like, we can't help it,
Yeah.
yeah, you can, and it is probably really annoying. But luckily, your wife is a chef too, so she can be in on it.
And my wife's even more intense than my mom. Like I said, she's like, who made this? Who made that? What did their kitchen look? It's rich. She gets intense, and I'm used to it. I don't care, You probably don't want to know what their kitchen looks like.
Yeah. You know what?
But it tastes good, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
I don't know. From growing up in the country, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard. We got a steel stomach,
Yeah. Well, hopefully your girls they must just eat so good. I always ask chefs like, what do you cook for your kids? And I went to a dinner with Gooch,
Yeah.
and he's like, oh, I'm just gonna make like an easy like pasta, like super easy, like
Yeah.
they're on vacation. I'm like, this is like the best pasta I've ever had.
No, actually, and I'm embarrassed. I shouldn't be, but I am. Like me and my wife have talked about this so much because my older daughter, you would think that you would never guess that she had two chefs as parents. Like she only eats chicken fingers,
Mac and cheese.
And here I am telling you this when I just told you I like Hot Pockets. So maybe, maybe I'm starting to see a correlation between all of it. No, but she's very simple. She'll eat fish. Her favorite thing, which I'm super stoked on, her favorite thing are like fruits and berries. And
Nice.
Yeah.
she doesn't eat sweet. She doesn't like she gags when she eats candy or ice cream, anything too sweet. It's weird. So
Nice.
yeah, she only eats fruits and but she doesn't experiment like at all. Like if she won't experiment. If I have her taste something, she sticks her tongue out and has me touch it on the tip of her tongue to see if she wants it first. Like very, very picky, my 3-year-old. My 1-year-old eats everything. Like everything and anything. Everything, I just like everything, like spicy. We just gave her a bunch of jalapeno cornbread yesterday.
She loved it.
We're halfway through eating and I'm like, hey, there's jalapenos in this thing, and Poppy, my daughter, just loving it. Yeah, she eats everything, loves
That's
everything.
awesome. At one?
At one.
Wow,
yeah.
that's so
Yeah.
rare.
So it's just, they're definitely very, very different. But
Yeah.
it's funny you said that because I have actually told my wife, I'm like, people are going to comment that we have a daughter. We're both chefs and we have a daughter that has a palate of she's going to, granted, she is a toddler now, so she can have a palate of a toddler, but I even have
It'll
a video when
develop.
she was 2. I took pasta and I folded peas into it. Like I made ravioli, and I have the video of her eating it. And she goes like this and she just when she spits out the peas. Like she literally eats the pasta and she spits the pea out. I'm like, are you?
Wow.
That's talented,
yeah.
Takes a lot of talent.
Can't trick her. Can't trick her. Do you have like a special ingredient or like something that you like cooking with or like?
Anchovies. This is my. I have a sleeve of. Yeah, I have a sleeve of Mediterranean blue anchovies coming down.
Nice.
And it's a recipe, so it's my favorite recipe, puttanesca. But my one of my favorite ingredients is anchovies. I mean, it's so versatile. It's so delicious. It's used in every culture, you know, like, even if we don't know it. But
do you get them like a special kind of anchovy, like straight from Italy?
I get them everywhere you can. I'll get an anchovy anywhere you want. Like. I've been to Italy where we've had them like, you know, fresh anchovies. I like the white marinated anchovies. I like paste. I'll do a lot of anchovy butter. Like we always have anchovy butter in my restaurants. Yeah, just a stone mortar and pestle with a little bit of garlic, butter, anchovies, some herbs. It's like the best. Actually, when I was doing Food Network Star, we had Jada was my mentor, and we had like a bunch of stuff on. She's like, hey, make whatever. So I started making a caprese salad. And then she's like, oh, what's your favorite ingredient? I tell her anchovy. And she's like, oh, add anchovies to it. I'm like, I'm making a caprese salad, you know? Yeah. So we ended up doing, I'd made like an anchovy herb oil type of thing and used that, like the olive oil to put on top of it, you know? It was so good. But anchovies are one of those things where it hides so well in food, you know? Like it melts in oil. You can use, you know, patis, whatever it is, like you can use and bring this flavor out that people don't even know. People say they don't like anchovies, but they all do, you know?
You ate it. Yeah.
It's in everything I cook.
Yeah, it's like MSG. Like they say they don't like it, but it's in 80% of the things you eat, you know? Yeah. It's in every soup, every chip, everything that you know, they have these umami conventions where they figure out ways on how they can put, you know, more MSG in food. So it's like people say it, but they just don't know that they're eating it.
Yeah, just like
and that's where, like, at least when I eat my junk food, I'm aware of what's
in it.
Yeah. I know what I'm doing. So I don't know if it makes it better or worse, but it's, you know, I mean, we're aware. So
yeah.
But it is anchovies are one of those things where I think it's such an ingredient that's really, you know, it's a huge ingredient in the world, but it's not talked. It's like, you know, some anchovies. So
yeah,
but that's my favorite ingredient.
I do too, nice. And now I love them even more.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
I just want a Caesar salad right now.
Yeah. I mean, they add everything, and like so my whole thing, it's puttanesca, which is it's the women of the night sauce. That's the Italian translation of puttanesca. It's the women of the night. And so what it is the concept of this dish is, well, they're out working all night, they're working the street, so they need a quick thing to eat. So it's whatever's in your cupboard, and this was what was in most Italian women's cupboards was tomatoes, capers, and anchovies. So they created puttanesca, which is basically just a spicy tomato sauce with anchovies and capers and olives, and it's my favorite. So it's
so your tattoo sleeve is all the ingredients.
Yeah, so it's capers and caper berries, Kalamata olives, tomatoes. It's one of those, awesome. You know, the anchovies are getting filleted as they come down. So
that's sick.
You know, because they always tell you to do something that you'll always like. You know, like my mom tells me now that if she would have gotten a tattoo when she was 18, she'd have a unicorn on her. You know, she's like, everybody's ideas change. So if you get you have to get something you always like. So I decided, well, I'll put dishes because I love puttanesca.
Awesome.
You know,
what else do you have on your arm?
I got a pig.
Nice.
You know? And the funniest part is pig, anchovy. I have gout. Like I started getting gout when I was like 19.
Oh no.
Oh dang.
And, it was really bad. And then I wondered what caused it. I'm talking to the doctor, and he's like, all right, things like pork, things like anchovies.
Like yeah.
Ooh, okay.
All the things that's in my diet.
Yeah, it's okay. So I literally got all this stuff tattooed, and then like 2 years later, I got gout. You know, so
you manifested differently.
Yeah, so I manifested differently. You know, but that being said, I'm able. I got into the point where I'm able to get back into my diet, and you know, becomes a special thing when I can actually eat it. So.
Nice.
This is what I'm
Common problem.
Yeah,
it's okay.
Right?
It
of
happens.
course, leave it to the one guy in the world that loves anchovies the most, and God will tell him he can't eat them. You know?
He's testing you.
Yeah, and spam too. Like I love spam, but it's another thing you can't eat with gout. You know. Yeah. So I sympathize with all my Hawaiian viewers out there. I sympathize with your gout pain and your spam obsession.
I love spam.
Me too. We're working on getting an endorsement with spam. That's
Ooh,
what we're
nice.
shooting
Really?
for. Oh yeah,
Nice.
spam if you're listening.
Yeah. So what's next? You know, like what are you working on? What's some exciting things besides like
The show
barbecue
coming out.
Yeah, barbecue
Yeah.
brawl is coming out. We're gonna start putting a lot more content out, starting
Sick.
to really get consistent with it. You know,
Yeah.
putting more cooking videos and getting
Nice.
my daughters involved, and you
Cute.
know, it's
The next generation of little chefs.
yeah, exactly.
little Italians.
little Italian.
Little,
Yeah.
My grandpa used to call me the pineapple cannoli because I'm Italian and Hawaiian. So now I call my daughters pineapple tacos. You know.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so it's we're working on that. We're gonna really try to get more content out, especially with these new shows coming out and all the views and everything. We're gonna start putting out a lot more content, trying to be just stay present. Like I said, I'm done looking from the outside in. Like I'm gonna start really pushing my way in and getting my name
That's
out
exciting.
there.
So we're gonna see more of you then.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
now's
hope-
the time.
Unless those hot pockets and spam kill me first, we'll see.
But it was worth it.
See, that's what I'm talking about. We got to eat together.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying life right now. I'm doing what I love, and it's finally at the point where what I love to do is lining up with what I do for a living, and it seems to when that hole finally clears, like it's starting to feel like that. Like, all right, I see what I'm doing. I see the work, all the work that I put into it actually starting to pay off, and we're just gonna start I'm one of those guys that I just don't stop. So whatever it ends up being, it'll be good.
Nice.
That's an exciting time. That is like when you're in like your flow like that. That's like
you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's when you're finally seeing all the work pay off. And it's you feel like right there, like you're on the precipice of like just being able to, but you just need a little push. So I feel like like right now, like I got that push now, where I think if I can capitalize on everything that's happening, it should be good.
It's just the beginning.
It
It's just the
is.
beginning. Yeah,
That's
exactly.
so exciting.
Very excited.
Exciting time for you, your family, for Waimea, for Hawaii. I mean,
Yeah.
you just like putting Hawaii and Waimea on that like national platform. We need to see more of that. I love seeing
a lot's
that.
happening with that, but a lot of it's and great for your guys' podcast because you guys are but a lot of that's happening now with locals that like Hawaiians and stuff that are really showing the world what it's about.
Yeah.
When I first did Food Network Star, there hardly was ever any Hawaiians on at all.
Yeah.
And Food Network's totally changing. See, I was
Yeah.
Italian. Food Network's totally changing now. They are actually searching for Hawaiians
Diversity. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's a perfect opportunity.
We talk with so many people and like Hawaii, there's so much talent in Hawaii, and like so many people move away. How do we like keep that talent in
keep it
Hawaii,
here.
or like showcase Hawaii and
Yeah.
the talent here? So
Yeah.
I mean,
You
people are
guys
starting to
doing great.
notice.
That's what you guys are doing. That's why I appreciate what you guys are doing, because you guys are literally putting a light on it. Sometimes people can work so hard and there's no light shown on what they do. And with you guys being able to show people what they're doing, it's you can start showing people how good we are here. We have the best of everything here.
Yeah.
It's just we gotta show the
Just
world.
gotta showcase it.
Yeah, I was thinking about like we had Tumua, the comedian Tumua on, and he had like a similar thing where he's like, he has like a Netflix special. They're looking for diversity. They're looking for like not just the typical, white guy succeeding.
Yes,
It's like
no,
there's
big
so
time.
many
Yeah.
other interesting perspectives and
Yep.
I always
It's
thought
a-
it was so weird that Food Network's main Mexican cook was a white guy with red hair.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
I always thought it was weird. I thought
Yeah.
it was weird that Paula Deen was the main Southern cook. Like,
Yeah.
it was just always weird to me. And when I did Food Network 10 years ago, they told me, like, a few guys on the show told me, they're like, hey, bro, you're not winning this thing, right? And like, straight up told me, because I did
Nuh-uh.
100%.
and that's not based on your cooking.
No, it's based on where I'm from, my
Yeah.
ethnicity, all of that,
Yeah.
and because they basically told me they're like the main demographic is the Southern 50-year-old Southern women, blah blah blah. But that's changed, that's
Yeah,
changed
yeah,
in 10 years, and now Food Network's literally calling out like, hey, we want guys like you now. We want
Yeah.
So
That just gave me
it's-
chicken skin.
Yeah,
That's
it's perfect. Yeah,
exciting.
perfect timing
Yeah.
for guys like guys
Yeah.
guys like that to really showcase what we got. you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, this
We're
is just the
looking for it.
beginning.
Yeah,
This
I
is
love
for
it.
everyone. Yeah, that's awesome.
And you're an amazing representative of Waimea, Hawaii. I mean, just the fact that you were not willing to compromise 10 years ago and that you're even built so much more, like different perspectives, like that's exciting, is that the world gets to see that.
Yeah. Sometimes taking the shortcut is easier, but it's
Yeah.
not the right way to go.
Yep.
Sometimes, you know.
No.
It's not always better to be there early. Sometimes you have to take your time getting places.
Hawaiian time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it works.
Yeah.
So what kind of advice would you give to like, whether it's an upcoming chef or like even just like the next generation?
I would tell them, you know, repeat exactly what I've been saying this whole time. And I think it's so important that, again, go, leave, learn everything you can and bring your talent back here. I don't think that we can make Hawaii better by keeping our people here just forever. Mm-hmm. We have to let them go and learn and then come back, you know? Mm-hmm. And that's my biggest thing. Like, go out there, do what you can, learn everything you can, but please, like, when you're at that point, when you want to start your family and you want to, like, you know, take your career to the next level, if you're able to, come back home, you know? Mm-hmm. And I know it's easier said than done, especially with, you know, how it is now, but that's what we should be encouraging. We should be encouraging our people to bring their talents back home to us and make places like Waimea better, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
that's
love
my
that.
advice.
Yeah.
Love that.
You were saying that the whole time.
The whole
Yeah.
time. That's my philosophy.
Yeah. Love that. Well, we're excited to watch you.
Yeah, thank you guys. This was so much fun.
Yeah, no, thank you for coming on and sharing your story.
Yeah.
Like we're excited to see. It's exciting because, like I said, like it's just the beginning. Like
I hope so.
you're making your comeback and like you're about to start pushing out more content. So
From Waimea, that's the best
exactly.
part. Pushing it out
you're
from
here.
Waimea.
Yes.
Yeah, from Waimea. That's so crazy.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
that's
huge.
exciting.
Yeah.
And that should be an inspiration for other locals, Hawaiians, like wherever you're at. It is just because you're way out here in the middle of the Pacific doesn't mean that you can't do big things on a national level, you know?
That's what we're trying.
Yeah.
I would love to be able to do that right from here. You
Yeah.
know? So we'll see.
So where
You're
can people find you and find out more information, watch your content?
Yeah, so you can Chef Ippy. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, not on
Twitter.
Yeah, not on Twitter.
not on Twitter. And I have a website, chefippy.com, but mostly social media. All social media is at Chef Ippy.
Sick.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then
Ippy's
Food
Hawaiian
Network.
Barbecue. Yeah, Food Network, July 10th. Barbecue Brawls, and then Ippy's Hawaiian Barbecue here in Waimea. That's it. You can. I mean, I'm always around. Small town. If you guys gotta find me.
Just ask somebody, how do I find Ippy?
Yeah, it's not hard.
Right on. Well, thank you again.
Of course.
Thank you
you
guys
guys.
for watching, subscribing, sharing, messaging. We see them all. So thank you guys and see you next time.
Holla.